He's going to get interviews.
One playoff win.
He's going to
get. He's damn Newt Rockney. Dog.
We'll
I
see.
just don't get it. Newt Rockney?
There are a lot of Giants fans
Bill Walsh, somebody
who would be interested in him.
Yep.
Look, the Browns haven't gotten it right at quarterback in a very long time in a variety of
I know he ain't hiring me.
different ways.
Shedeur, I know you don't listen, but please, every time your team wins a game, please use we and us. That's it.
That's coming from a veteran coach. Let's state the obvious here. Rex Ryan, amongst other NFL analysts, have voiced their opinion about Shedeur. But if I'm Shedeur Sanders, I will implement we, not me. It's easy for an individual to take on the praise and making it about him. And I don't think that that's the case for Shedeur. Yeah. Hear that out. Because the amount of maturity that shifted, this is the same individual that was miming in front of the camera a couple weeks ago to the person that was saying certain things that you would expect from a backup quarterback. But now, the person that we're seeing poised, he's been here before. He's well and capable of being what we need him to be. But now, as you have more success, understand the political aspect that's needed in order for you to be a true leader in the locker room as an NFL quarterback.
You know what's wild? Rex Ryan just went on live TV and absolutely torched Kevin Stefanski after the Browns fired him, calling him damn Norv Turner with one playoff win in 6 years. By the end of this, you're going to understand why the NFL world is picking sides right now. So, don't skip a single second of this video. And if this story touches your heart, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and let us know in the comments. Where are you watching from? Let's begin. Nah, I'm not letting anybody downplay what we just watched, because that wasn't keeping it real. That wasn't telling the truth. That was a man kicking somebody while he's already on the ground on national television with a smile on his face like it's entertainment. And yeah, I get it. The NFL is a results business. Everybody's evaluated. Everybody's judged. But there's a difference between criticism and straight up humiliation, and Rex Ryan crossed that line like it didn't even exist. Think about the timing. A head coach loses his job 6 seasons, a whole era done. That's not just a press release. That's somebody packing up an office, telling assistants they're out, telling players the system is changing again. That's families moving, that's careers getting reset, and the whole league is watching that moment because every coach knows it could be them next. Every player knows the next call might be a new staff that doesn't even want them. That's the kind of moment where you either bring context or you bring a flamethrower. Rex brought the flamethrower. And the wild part is people are going to defend it like, well, he's right. Okay, even if you think he's right, you don't have to be reckless. You don't have to be disrespectful. But that's what NFL media has turned into. Louder takes, sharper knives, less accountability. If you can get a clip to go viral, that's the win now. Not accuracy, not fairness, not the whole story. Just the moment, just the quote, just the dunk. And as a fan, that's what bothers me the most. Because I actually watch these games. I watch the fourth quarter play calling. I watch the protection break down. I watch the quarterback room turn into a revolving door. I watch a franchise try to build a house while the front office keeps ripping the foundation out every year. And then some analyst gets to hop on TV and boil all of that down into one insult, one lazy comparison, like none of the chaos matters. Cleveland didn't exist in a vacuum. That quarterback carousel wasn't some random accident. That was years of bad decisions, bad fits, and constant resets. You can't develop stability when you're constantly surviving. And you can't judge a coach like he had some perfect situation, when the truth is, he was coaching inside a storm. So yeah, criticize the record, criticize the results, but don't pretend that's the full story when it's not. Because what Rex did wasn't analysis, it was performance. It was a viral moment. It was disrespect packaged as honesty. And that's why this is about to get even messier. Because somebody else saw that clip too. Somebody younger, somebody who isn't even in the league yet, somebody who looked at that disrespect and basically said, oh, we're doing this now? Cool. Then let's talk credentials. And that's when everything changed. Because right now, he exists in one of the most uncomfortable spaces in football. He's not an NFL quarterback yet, But he's not just some college kid either. He's living in that in-between zone where every word is treated like a scouting report, where confidence gets labeled as arrogance depending on who's listening, where your name alone already decides half the room before you ever open your mouth. And let's be honest about the perception. Supporters see a quarterback who believes in himself, who talks like a leader, who doesn't flinch when the lights are bright. Critics hear entitlement. They hear someone who hasn't earned it yet. Same behavior. Two completely different reactions. And that's not accidental, that's the weight of expectation talking. His name carries power. His background carries assumptions. His proximity to one of the most polarizing figures in football means everything he does gets magnified. A regular quarterback posts something and it disappears in a day. He posts something and suddenly it's a referendum on his character, his maturity, and whether he's ready for the league. But here's why his voice actually matters. This dude has been preparing for NFL pressure long before the NFL ever called. He's been coached under a microscope, every throw dissected, every loss amplified, every win questioned. Most quarterbacks don't deal with that until they're getting paid. He's been dealing with it since day one. We've seen this movie before. We saw it with Jalen Hurts when people said he talked too confidently for a guy who got benched. We saw it with Joe Burrow when the swagger felt too much until it wasn't. Swagger becomes leadership the second the play backs it up. Until then, people call it a problem. And that's the tightrope he's walking right now. Because this isn't a random kid firing off a tweet with no awareness. This is someone who understands optics. He understands how media cycles work. He understands how former coaches talk, how analysts move the goalposts, how narratives get shaped before a single snap is taken, and he still chose to speak. That's not ignorance, that's intention. He knows some people are waiting for him to fail. He knows every mistake will be louder than the last. And he knows confidence is only celebrated when it fits the box people already built for you. That's the tension. That's the pressure point. Because if he succeeds, they'll say they always believed. And if he stumbles, they'll say he talked too soon. That's how this league works. Confidence gets praised when it works and punished when it doesn't. And the real question isn't whether he should have spoken, it's whether he's ready for everything that comes next. They were waiting for this moment. Trust me. The second he spoke up, you could almost feel it like a switch flipping. The timelines filled up, the takes started flying, and suddenly, it wasn't about what was said anymore, it was about who said it. That's when the familiar chorus came out. Stay in your lane. You haven't earned anything yet. Rookies should be quiet. Same script every time, because in the NFL, respect is supposed to flow one way, downhill, from the top to the bottom, from the veterans to the young guys, from the people with resumes to the people still chasing them. And the minute someone skips a step in that imaginary hierarchy, people get uncomfortable fast. They love honesty until it comes from the wrong person. They love confidence until it challenges them. What really bothered folks wasn't the message, it was the audacity. The idea that someone without an NFL snap dared to question a former head coach on live television. To some people, that's crossing a line. To others, it's finally telling the truth out loud. And here's where I had to pause and really look at the reaction. Because once you strip away the noise, the hypocrisy jumps off the screen. Former coaches turned analysts sitting behind desks, breaking down everyone else's failures, holding them to standards they never met themselves. Talking about wins, talking about development, talking about leadership, all from a safe distance. Loud criticism with zero self-reflection. Authority without accountability. They love honesty until it points back at them. They love confidence until it refuses to bow. That's the part nobody wants to admit. This backlash isn't really about respect, it's about control. It's about protecting an old order where voices were limited and permission mattered, where young players were supposed to smile, nod, and wait their turn. But this new generation doesn't move like that. They grew up online. They grew up watching narratives get spun in real time. They understand platforms. They understand leverage, and they're not afraid to use it. So when he spoke, it hit a nerve. Not because it was reckless, but because it was fearless. And yeah, some people tried to dress it up as concern he's hurting his draft stock. Teams don't like that. Maybe. Or maybe teams also notice who doesn't fold under pressure, who's willing to stand in the storm and own their words. Quarterback is the one position where you can't hide. If you're scared to speak now, how are you supposed to command a huddle later? This moment forced people to pick sides, and whether they admit it or not, a lot of fans felt something shift, because for once, someone didn't apologize, someone didn't walk it back, someone pushed back. The backlash was inevitable, it always is, but so was the respect. And once you earn that kind of respect from fans, from people who live and breathe this game, it doesn't just disappear. And what comes next is where it really gets interesting. This is where the story flips, because this is the part people never want to talk about. This is how leaders are actually built. Not in press conferences, not in highlight packages, but in moments where pressure shows up uninvited and you have to decide who you are in real time. Everybody loves to talk about arm talent and footwork and reads, and yeah, that stuff matters. But quarterbacks don't lead with throws alone. They lead with posture, with tone, with how they carry themselves when things get uncomfortable. And moments like this, moments where you're tested publicly, those are the ones that shape careers long before Sundays ever do. What you're seeing right now is growth, not just as a player, but as a professional. Emotional growth, mental growth, the kind that shows you understand when to speak, how to speak, and why it matters. Because leadership isn't silence. Leadership is discernment. It's knowing when staying quiet helps you and when it helps nobody. Think about every great locker room you've ever heard about. The common thread is always the same. Players gravitate toward the guy who doesn't flinch, the one who doesn't panic when things get loud, the one who can take heat without folding or firing blindly. Teammates notice that. Veterans notice that. Coaches definitely notice that. This is the type of thing that shows up in training camp stories. Not always on the stat sheet, but in the way guys respond in meetings, in how someone handles a bad practice, in how they address the room after a tough rep. You don't get that respect by being perfect, you get it by being steady. And trust me, the league is watching everything. Front offices don't just evaluate tape, they evaluate temperament, they evaluate media presence. They evaluate how a quarterback handles chaos because chaos is guaranteed at this level. If you can't manage pressure before the league, how are you supposed to manage it inside it? This moment didn't scare teams away. If anything, it clarified something. It showed confidence without panic, conviction without recklessness. And that balance, that's rare, especially in young quarterbacks. We've seen guys shrink when the spotlight hits. We've seen others grow into it. This feels like the latter, because instead of apologizing, instead of backtracking, instead of pretending he didn't mean it, he stood on it, calm, composed, aware. That's not immaturity. That's self-assurance. And when you zoom out, this controversy doesn't look like a mistake anymore. It looks like a resume bullet. A moment teams will remember when they ask, can this guy handle being the face of a franchise? Because whether people like it or not, moments like this don't disappear. They follow you. They define you. And the next chapter of this story, that's where belief turns into expectation and where the pressure really starts to climb. This is why I keep saying this was never just about one tweet, because if you zoom all the way out, you start to see the real picture coming into focus. A coach gets fired. An analyst lights him up on live television. A young quarterback claps back. And suddenly the entire league is having the same argument at the same time about respect, about credibility, about who gets to speak and who's supposed to stay quiet. That's not random. That's a collision. Old NFL versus new NFL. Gatekeepers versus voices. Systems versus personalities. And here's the truth that makes people uncomfortable. This is not the last time you're going to see this from him. Not even close. Because players like this don't wait for permission. They don't wait to be told when their voice is valid. They understand the game inside the lines and outside of them. And whether the old guard likes it or not, the league is changing. We're watching it happen in real time. Fans feel it too. You can see it in the comments. You can hear it in the way people talk about quarterbacks now. We're done pretending this is just about playbooks and schemes. This game has always been about personalities, about belief, about confidence that borders on stubbornness. The difference now is players aren't hiding it anymore. And honestly, that's a competitive advantage. Belief matters. Confidence matters. Voice matters. A quarterback who believes he belongs will walk into a locker room differently. He'll command a huddle differently. He'll respond to adversity differently. You don't manufacture that. You either have it or you don't. That's why moments like this stick. Front offices remember them. Teammates remember them. Fans definitely remember them. When the pressure rises, and it always does, these are the moments people go back to and say, yeah, that makes sense now. This wasn't disrespect. This wasn't noise. This was a warning. A warning that the next generation isn't asking to be included in the conversation, they're entering it. A warning that media narratives aren't one-sided anymore. A warning that confidence isn't going to be packaged neatly just to make people comfortable. And the funniest part is, the same people criticizing this now will be the first ones praising it if the results come. That's how this league works. Swagger becomes leadership overnight. Confidence becomes intangibles. Voice becomes command of the room. So the question isn't whether this moment mattered. The question is, whose side are you really on? Are you on the side of protecting old rules that only applied to some people? Or are you on the side of players who believe they belong before anyone gives them permission? Because whether you love it or hate it, this energy isn't going anywhere. And the league is about to be shaped by people who aren't afraid to say exactly what they think and then go prove it. Now I want to hear from you. Whose side are you on and why?